the world of cars still belonged to gasoline. SUVs ruled the roads, big heavy machines that drank fuel and followed the same old formula. Spacious, yes, powerful, sometimes, innovative, rarely. Families bought them because they had to, not because they felt futuristic. And then came Tesla. After the Roadster had sparked curiosity and the Model S had silenced the doubters, Tesla faced a new challenge. Could an electric SUV compete with the giants? Not just as an alternative, as something better. The answer rolled onto the stage that year, sleek and silent, carrying a feature the world had never seen before. Its doors didn't swing open. They rose upward like the wings of a falcon taking flight. This was the Tesla. Model X. The Falcon-Wing doors were more than just a trick. They were a statement. Proof that Tesla wasn't here to follow tradition, it was here to rewrite it. Sensors made them open even in the tightest spaces, turning parking lots into theaters of engineering magic. For families with kids in arms, full of bags, they weren't just flashy, they were practical. Step inside and the SUV felt like a spacecraft. The windshield stretched high above the driver's head, the largest ever used in a production car. Light poured in, giving passengers a panoramic view of the world around them. The cabin held up to 7 seats, folding smartly to fit luggage, strollers, or sports gear. At the center, a giant 17-inch touchscreen replaced the buttons and switches of the past, making every function feel futuristic and simple. But the magic wasn't just in the design. It was in the performance. This wasn't a heavy, sluggish family hauler. With dual-motor all-wheel drive, the Model X delivered instant torque. In ludicrous mode, it could launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 3 seconds, outrunning Ferraris and Lamborghinis while carrying children in the back. Families weren't just driving, they were flying, and yet, speed was only part of the story. Safety was Tesla's obsession. The Model X became one of the safest SUVs ever tested, earning 5 stars in every category. Its low center of gravity, thanks to the battery pack, nearly eliminated the rollover risks that haunted traditional SUVs. Parents no longer had to choose between thrill and protection. For the first time, they could have both. Still, the road to this achievement wasn't easy. The Falcon-Wings delayed production. Critics scoffed at the complexity, at the boldness of Tesla's vision. But when the first deliveries rolled out, doubts began to fade. Families discovered that the SUV wasn't just new, it was revolutionary. On highways and in cities, the Model X drew stares. Strangers pulled out phones when the doors rose. Owners showed them off like futuristic sculptures unfolding in real time. The SUV became a cultural icon, a rolling symbol that the future of driving had arrived. For Tesla, the Model X was more than another product. It was proof of dominance. The Roadster was the spark, the Model S was the proof, but the Model X was the breakthrough that said, Tesla is here to stay. This is the story of the Falcon-Wing SUV, the car that didn't just join the market, it soared above it. The arrival of the Model X was more than just a car launch, was a declaration of intent. For Tesla, it wasn't about creating another SUV. It was about rewriting the expectations of what SUVs could offer in the 21st century. To understand why the Model X struck such a deep chord, we must step into the era of its creation, into a world still dominated by gasoline, where efficiency and family practicality rarely lived alongside speed and futuristic technology. At the time, SUVs were booming. Families wanted space, safety, and comfort. Automakers responded with bigger vehicles, more features, and stronger engines. But there was always a cost. Fuel economy was terrible. Emissions were skyrocketing. And innovation, it was limited to touchscreens, leather seats, or an extra row of cue folders. The segment was crowded but stale, built on a formula that hadn't changed in decades. And then came Tesla, unafraid to disrupt. The company looked at the SUV not as a burden, but as an opportunity to prove that electric vehicles could be bold, practical, and desirable. The Model X was born from this philosophy. Its design wasn't shaped by compromise. It was shaped by ambition. The Falcon-Wing doors became the car's signature. To critics, they seemed like an unnecessary showpiece, but to owners, they were proof that the Model X wasn't bound by tradition. Each door rose in a precise arc, engineered with sensors so that they could open even in the tightest spaces. For parents juggling groceries, strollers, or small children, the Falcon-Wings weren't just beautiful, they were useful. They made access easier, faster, and unlike anything on the road. Inside, the cabin pushed boundaries even further. The windshield alone was a marvel. Stretching up and over the driver's head, it was the largest piece of glass ever used in a production vehicle. The effect was astonishing. Sitting in the front seats felt like piloting a spacecraft, with the sky spilling into view during every drive. Passengers no longer felt boxed in, they felt liberated, surrounded by light. The technology continued at every touch point. The centerpiece was Tesla's 17-inch touchscreen, a hub that replaced traditional buttons and knobs. From navigation to climate control, from suspension settings to media playback, everything was streamlined through the screen. It was futuristic, yes, but also intuitive. For many buyers, stepping into the Model X felt like stepping 10 years ahead of every other car on the road. And then came performance. This was no ordinary family hauler. Even the base versions were quick, but Tesla went further, introducing variants that redefined acceleration for an SUV. The P90D with ludicrous mode could launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.2 seconds. To put that in perspective, this 7-seat electric SUV could outrun Ferraris and Lamborghinis of the same era while carrying children in the back seat. It was absurd. It was breathtaking. It was Tesla, but speed was only part of the story. The Model X was engineered with dual-motor all-wheel drive, giving it remarkable traction in any weather. Whether snow, rain, or winding roads, the SUV delivered confidence and control. Families who once associated SUVs with clumsy handling were shocked. Here was a vehicle that was both safe and thrilling, practical yet exhilarating, and safety that was Tesla's obsession. The Model X became one of the safest SUVs ever tested. In crash simulations and real-world evaluations, it achieved 5-star ratings across every category. Its low center of gravity, made possible by the battery pack beneath the floor, meant that rollovers, one of the greatest risks in tall vehicles, were nearly eliminated. For parents, this wasn't just reassuring, it was revolutionary. They were no longer choosing between performance and protection. The Model X offered both. Of course, Tesla's ambition brought challenges. The complexity of the Falcon-Wing doors caused production delays. Critics pointed to build quality issues in early models. Some wondered if the car was simply too ambitious, too complex for its own good. But Tesla persisted, refining, improving, delivering. And for the customers who took the leap, the rewards far outweighed the risks. They weren't just buying an SUV, they were buying into a vision of the future, and that vision extended beyond the vehicle itself. The Model X was part of Tesla's larger ecosystem, a network of superchargers that allowed for long-distance travel, software updates that improved the car over time, and integration with Tesla's evolving autopilot system. In many ways, the SUV wasn't a static machine, it was alive, updating, learning, and improving long after it left the factory. For families, this was transformative. Road trips became adventures without gas stations. Daily commutes became silent, glides through the city. And with autopilot, even the stress of traffic began to melt away. The Model X didn't just transport people from one place to another, it transformed the very experience of movement. And in the cultural landscape, it became iconic. The Falcon-Wing doors made appearances at events, in movies, on social media. They became a symbol of futuristic living, of daring to stand apart. Owners proudly showed off their SUVs, and wherever they went, the doors became instant conversation. Starters. The Model X wasn't perfect. No revolutionary product ever is, but it was unforgettable. And in the years that followed, it would carve out a place not just as a Tesla, but as one of the most distinctive vehicles of its generation. For Tesla, the launch of the Model X cemented its status, no longer just a startup fighting for recognition. It was now a brand that could build luxury sedans, futuristic SUVs, and beyond. The Model X was proof that Tesla wasn't a one-hit wonder. It was a force reshaping the future of mobility with every design, every innovation, every daring risk. And in 2015, when the Falcon-Wings first rose on stage, the world understood something very clearly. The automotive industry had changed forever. The Model X's story deepened once it hit real roads. Owners began sharing experiences that no press release could capture. For families, those Falcon-Wing doors weren't just dramatic. They were lifesavers in crowded school pickup zones and parking garages. Parents carrying toddlers found the wide, high openings gave them freedom from the awkward gymnastics of bending and squeezing into tight spaces. It was luxury meeting practicality in the most cinematic way possible. But Tesla had never promised just comfort. They promised transformation. The Model X carried the DNA of Tesla's mission, to prove that electric cars could outperform gasoline ones in every measure: speed, safety, technology, and even convenience. Early Model X drivers often recalled the sheer silence that came with acceleration. No engine growl, just a whisper of tires on asphalt and the faint hum of electric motors delivering instant torque. For many, that silence felt almost alien-like, piloting something from the future. And in many ways, they were. The Model X wasn't just an SUV. It was a rolling experiment in what a vehicle could be when freed from the limits of combustion. Take its bioweapon defense mode, for example, while other SUVs bragged about leather, seats, or horsepower. The Model X offered a hospital-grade HEPA filtration system. Elon Musk claimed it could protect passengers from everything from pollution to biological threats. Whether owners ever faced such extremes didn't matter. The message was clear. Tesla wasn't building cars. It was building shields on wheels. And yet, for every innovation came a wave of skepticism. Detractors pointed out early quality issues, misaligned doors, glitches in sensors, delays in delivery. Traditional automakers sneered, calling Tesla's complexity unsustainable. But while critics complained, Tesla improved. Software updates smoothed rough edges, production scaled, and reliability grew. What once seemed like risk now looked like courage. The Model X became not just a car, but a cultural marker. Celebrities flaunted them, tech leaders praised them, and families embraced them. Parking lots turned into stages when those doors lifted into the air. Children pointed, strangers asked questions, and the aura of the Model X spread far beyond the Tesla community. It became a status symbol not just of wealth, but of vision. To drive a Model X wasn't to say, I own a luxury SUV. It was to say, I drive the future. Tesla also used the Model X to push the boundaries of performance. Who could forget the videos? An SUV, massive by electric standards, pulling off drag races against supercars and winning. It towed airplanes on airport runways. It sprinted up mountains with snow chains, defying weather. These weren't stunts for attention alone. They were demonstrations of a new truth. Electricity was powerful, practical, and exhilarating. Over time, the Model X helped normalize an idea once considered absurd, that an SUV could be electric, and better for it. Competing automakers scrambled to respond, launching hybrids, then fully electric models. But Tesla had already set the standard, and the Falcon-Wing SUV stood tall as the pioneer that forced the market to change. Inside, the vehicle evolved to autopilot updates turned highways into demonstrations of semi-autonomous driving. Over-the-air upgrades meant that an owner's Model X today could feel newer, smarter, and safer than when it first rolled off the line. Tesla broke the old automotive rulebook, where cars only grew older and more obsolete. The Model X was a machine that grew with you, an SUV that aged in reverse, constantly updated by the cloud. For all its flash and fame, though, the heart of the Model X remained grounded in its mission, to make electric vehicles mainstream. It was the family-friendly Tesla, the one that could carry kids to school, tow a boat on weekends, and still shatter records on a racetrack. It combined the ordinary with the extraordinary, turning the SUV a symbol of practicality into a symbol of progress. The Model X left an undeniable mark. In crash tests, in cultural moments, in the way people began to imagine electric SUVs, became a chapter in automotive history that couldn't be skipped. Even those who never owned one felt its influence, because once you saw Falcon-Wing doors rise against the backdrop of a parking lot sky, you never forgot. And so, the Model X didn't just join Tesla's lineup, it elevated it. Roadster had been the spark, Model S had been the proof, but Model X was the demonstration, the loud, bold declaration that Tesla wasn't an experiment. It was a revolution, spreading its wings for all to see. As the sun set on 2015, the automotive world had changed forever. Not because of a new V8 engine or a luxury badge, but because of a quiet electric SUV with wings. The Tesla Model X wasn't perfect. It struggled, it stumbled, it faced criticism, but it soared nonetheless. Its Falcon-Wing doors became a symbol of daring design. Its speed shattered stereotypes. Its safety gave families confidence. And its vision forced the entire industry to look up. In the years that followed, countless SUVs would chase the formula Tesla had pioneered. Electric range, performance, over-the-air updates. Futuristic cabins features that were once Tesla's wild dreams became the industry's must-haves. And through it all, the Falcon-Wing SUV remained unforgettable. More than just a car, it was a moment, a bold declaration that practicality didn't have to mean boring, that family cars could be futuristic, and that progress often looks strange before it feels normal today. When we look back at the Model X, we don't just see an SUV. We see a symbol of what happens when ambition takes flight. This was Tesla's leap. This was Tesla's wings.